Well, Keg, we've just come through these big black gates.
We have. It's exciting.
Where are we?
We are the Hellfire Caves.
Hellfire Caves. How spectacular
Isn't that just so cool?
is this? And that's the caves going in there. And this is where we're investigating tonight.
We are.
And it's apparently all, well, we're going to find out, but Satanism, sex.
Yeah, rock and roll, all that sort of thing.
So,
Gonna be fun.
sounds like our cup of tea, really, doesn't it? So we're going to go in and we're going to see what it's all about. So let's go
meet our host.
Let's go meet our host. Knock, knock.
Anybody here?
All right, so here we are at the Hellfire Caves. And this is Willow.
Hello.
And
Ray.
Ray.
If I gave you the real one, it'd be too weird to use. It's too unusual, so we'll go with Ray.
Ray. Okay, Ray. And
Oh,
these.
by the way, I won't know. I will forget your name because I'm
Just go
terrible.
Oi, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
or
used to it.
anything, we'll
Yeah.
answer to anything as well.
Cool.
I believe you're going to take us
I
around
may
the
do
Hellfire
indeed.
Caves.
Yes, so as Alison mentioned, my name's Willow. I'm the manager here and also a medium as well. So hopefully we can get a lot of activity for you guys tonight.
Excellent.
And Ray's going to come around with us and see what we do. So, were you ready?
Off. We were born ready. weren't
Oh,
we?
exactly.
Oh, that is so tacky.
That is
wasn't it?
tacky.
That's such a tacky answer,
It's a classic
isn't it?
though, it's a classic.
We were
It's not
born
so
ready.
Yeah, dramatic, like electric, just going.
So as you can see, it's going to be a boring night tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Yep, it's going to be
Yes,
Our
we'll turn the
usual
volume down on the headphones.
boring and...
But yeah, welcome to hell, as we have to say.
What is the history of the Hellfire Caves?
Oh, well, strap up, we're getting ready.
What are they?
What are the caves?
What are they?
Basic history. So this cave is, as you can see, it's very chalky. If you lean on the walls, you will get covered in it.
On the back.
It does come off in the wash though, I do promise that. If it doesn't, then it's not my fault. But it sort of was originally dug out but all the chalk was fused between the main road, West Wickham and High Wycombe. That's because there were 9 failed harvest failures, which literally was no work at all for the village. So our Dishy Dassy, Sir Francis Dashwood, the 2nd Baronet of West Wickham, decided, you know what, I'm going to be the hero. But he brought 100 men up here and said, I want you to dig and I want you to quarry and bring all the chalk and the slate out. And he decided to build this main road, which is because West Wickham is sort of the main point between sort of Oxford and London for all the trading. And it's horse-drawn carriages, they were upturning and the horses were all getting injured. So Dashwood went, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. And didn't tell anyone that he wanted to use these caves for his little Divian club, or the Brothers of Sir Francis of Wickham, which, to put it, you know, nicely, it was an Edwardian sex club. They would. It was originally
We're
the
in tonight.
Yeah, cheeky thigh slap and get on with it. But the Divian Club was originally sort of for the finer things in life: literature, art, for music. That's what they celebrated, and it was all very important people doing things that they didn't do in the public eye. We will see just sort of down in 22 steps a list of members of Parliament, people related to royalty. Again, literally all of these very important public figures. You think we're talking in 1755 now. That's when public image was everything. You had to be this very important gentleman, and image and reputation was what you had going for you. And then behind closed doors, he did all the naughty happenings. So this is our lovely Paul Whitehead. Now, he was born in 1710 and died in 1774, and he was Dashwood's second-hand man. They were said to be best friends, or something a bit more, but we'll get into that a bit later. Paul Whitehead was a minor poet. He wrote many a famous poem, said to be quite provocative, very naughty of the time, and often he had to go into hiding a lot because of his poems upset some people in Parliament. And him and Dashwood enjoyed, again, the more finer things in life: women, partying, drinking, sex, all of it, the above, that they loved. Paul Whitehead was our steward. He sat in this very alcove and he was said to sign everyone into the club, keep an inventory of food and alcohol that came through, and also hand people their attire for the night. Now, men would dress as monks, women would dress as nuns, and Dashwood himself would dress as the Pope. So from that, you can kind of guess what these people were into, you know, in those times. And I don't kink shame in this household, but oh my goodness gracious me. Oh, it's a bit of a spicy one, especially. As you think, people thought church was everything. That was the thing to do. Especially, you know, obviously in America, it was the midst of the American Revolution, and sort of standing for your country was everything. And, you know, being, as I said again, this popular reputation, and well, what they did down here underground is a whole different story. Now, Paul Whitehead, as I said, died in 1774, and he left 2 things to Sir Francis when he died. He left £50, which is sort of the equivalent to about 8 to 10 grand now. We're talking Great British pounds. And his heart.
His heart?
His physical beating heart. Well, obviously it wasn't beating.
But it wasn't. Hope it wasn't beating when they...
Well, in theory. And this £50 was for a deposit for a marble urn, which is that very urn that's in the alcove today. And as you can see, it's been a bit mashed up over time, but it's still original.
Has it got anything in it?
No, that's because his heart was stolen in 1829.
So his heart was originally put in the urn?
It was originally put in the urn, and there was a big procession around the village, and there was, I believe, a 3 gunfire salute up at the mausoleum. He's one of the only non-Dashwood members ever to be buried in there.
Makes you think what kind of relationship they had, if what kind of person gives their master a heart.
Well, exactly. If you have a look at the picture that's on the front of it, the carving, it looks quite provocative. Looks very sort of ancient Greek, sort of maybe 2 young men embracing.
Oh, yes.
And it was, again, popular belief was that they were a bit more than friends.
Yeah.
Now, the Hellfire Club, their motto was Fais que tu voudras. I can't do Latin very well, so you're getting it in a British accent. But that translates to do what thou wilt, or do what you want. And the Hellfire Club most definitely did do who and what they wanted. So, you know, popular belief. Now, the Victorians, they were weird people. They were very eccentric, very steampunk. And the Victorians said, you know what, this Hellfire Club, this Paul Whitehead, we're going to get his heart out of the mausoleum and we're going to charge a couple of shillings for you to feel it. Like a twisted show and tell almost. And it was, yeah, exactly. Said in 1829 when his heart was stolen, it was the size and colour of a lump of charcoal.
Oh, wow.
And it said, again...
That's what yours is now, isn't it?
Oh. I'm going to take a step backwards now. In a minute. Oh, yeah.
2 sizes too small.
Now, Paul Whitehead, unfortunately, 3 days before he died, on his deathbed, ordered all of his servants to get all of the records of the club and burn them. A massive bonfire was said to be had on his estate, and all of the records were burned. Again, you think, if they weren't doing unruly things down here, why on earth would they have spent all the time to burn all of them? And thank you, Paul, you're the reason we know absolutely pretty much nothing about this place. So thanks, Paul. Well. You make my life a living hell. So, again. And the other thing, as I mentioned, Dashwood was said to dress as the Pope. And see loads of these faces on the walls. You can see big pointy red hat and facing towards Whitehead where he would sign everyone in. Okay. And I always sort of get the idea that he was almost watching and sort of scoping out his prey for the night almost. And if you have a look behind Ray as well, another face on the wall has a cross in the forehead. Oh, yeah. Now, these faces were actually carved by William Hogarth, who was a very famous painter at the time. He was good friends with Sir Francis as well. And Sir Francis brought him in and said, I want you to carve all of the faces of the members of the club into the walls.
God, I would hope I didn't look like that.
I know. It's quite unfortunate.
Oh, it's got little eyeballs inside when you do that. You can see the little irises.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Can't you?
And they actually have carved a bit further down the face of the devil into the walls as well. The way it's not your regular cave system. We get questions about how easy it is to traverse or not, and even coming down, it's quite on a steady decline all the way down, and it's very winding. It's not necessarily tight, but they weren't just digging for no reason. They had to have instructions to go where they went. And it's very important because the banqueting hall is just sort of to the left of the mausoleum, and the inner temple, the very bottom point, which you have to cross the river Styx to get.
Children's cave?
It's a long story, we'll get there. And this is 300 feet directly underneath the altar of the church that's on top of the hill.
To the point.
Literally. People say if you dug 300 feet straight up, you would get to the altar of the church. So it's almost that you've got heaven above and this man dug hell below. There you go.
I gather he wasn't into religion, as in he.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Again,
he considered, you'll see Satan's carving. He considered him a member of this group.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
that's really weird.
Satan's carving. He considered him a member of this group.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
I don't know why you'd. Can you not hear that? The thump, 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 thump. Can you not hear that? Is that just me? So it might just be a car outside, but that's very rare that you will hear something from the surface from here.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought that because I'm just like, is that just a car? That's why I called it out. Okay, that was weird. It might just be me hearing my own heartbeat or something, you never know. So this is Whitehead's Cave, obviously we just passed, and this is the circle. It's called the Earl of Sandwich's Circle. The Earl of Sandwich, John Montague was a member. And this was where men and women were said to part. It was said that ladies went to the right and men would go to the left, and they would meet round and find their partner for the evening. So, you know, if couples came together, they would split and they would, you know, again, do whoever or what they wanted. So this is our longest straight part of the caves that we have. And here is our list of the members of the club. So you see, obviously, we've got Dashwood and Whitehead, the Earl of Sandwich, again, Lord, Sir, MP, Thomas Potter, he's a very important person we need to remember for later, son of the Archbishop of Canterbury, physician to the Prince of Wales, again, MP, you know, John Norris, who was the owner of Hewingdon Manor at the time, and we'll get to back to Hewingdon, that's hilarious in a minute. John Wilkes, another very important member, William Hogarth, who we mentioned earlier, and one down here, which we'll see a statue of him in a minute, is Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the USA. Glamorous 22 steps accompanied by some beautiful furry mould on the walls, you know, as you do. That was just grown just for you ladies, I hope you appreciate it. So our 22 steps are Roman numerals. People often say they were either just, you know, 22 to mark the entrance for the, 22 markers away from the entrance for the miners, or as you can see, this was a remnants of a poem found about a secret passageway. Okay. And growing up in West Wickham, myself, all you get told about growing up is that West Wickham's like an ant farm. There's tunnels going everywhere, and that Sir Francis had this one tunnel that would go from the manor, and he would sneak up and get here without anyone seeing him. Now, again, we can't confirm or deny that, but it was said that Sir Francis II ordered on his deathbed for the secret passageway to be sealed. And our secret passageway is right down here. Again, just almost like a random corridor in the wall for no apparent reason almost.
Oh, okay.
So as you can see through here, people before us have tried to get a pinpoint camera through. Yeah. They've managed to see there's tunnel going further, but obviously it just goes all black.
We just don't know. Yeah.
And the nature of chalk, it either stays put or collapses. So I think we can all agree it's not worth potentially collapsing the whole cave just to find another one out. Now again, why people believe that this is a secret passageway? Turn around.
Oh, a face.
Ah.
A couple of
facing. Well, there's another one there.
There's one down there, that big one in the middle, and one above.
And they're all facing.
Facing this. There would be no apparent reason why you would just put these three random faces on the wall facing this passage if it meant absolutely nothing. So, again.
Well, there's another face.
Yeah, there's literally, they're all
facing
one
towards
there.
this entrance.
Here you go, here's Benjamin Franklin and Dashwood on the left, our lovely fiberglass mannequins we have. Now, Benjamin Franklin has one of my favourite quotes of all time. He said that you should always choose an older woman because they appreciate the attention more. And in the dark, all cats are grey. Again, he was the ambassador for the UK at the time, and he was, again, best friends with Dashwood, enjoyed all the finer things in life.
I'm sure.
And he was, we had an author come in the other day, I can't remember, I know his first name was Joseph, but he came in and he was doing an autobiography about Benjamin Franklin, and he was asking about his involvement in the club. We know, and it's confirmed, that he did stay at the Dashwood Manor, but we don't know if he actually came to the club. Again, I'm going to get this quite wrong, but he says, it's as fine as it is above as it is below. So evidently he did come down here at some point and see the caves. Whether he took part in the meetings, we don't actually know. Now, these meetings were said to take part twice a year, sort of one in the spring and one in the autumn. And Franklin, whether or not it is coincidence or not, did tend to plan his trips around those 2 seasons.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
There you go. Now, do you want to see the devil?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Right, we're going to go down this way to the left to see the devil. There we go.
See the red remnants as well that you've painted. It used to look like.
Oh.
So again, as I mentioned earlier, William Hogarth was brought in to make all of the faces of the members of the club into the walls. And as you can see, he used to have another horn there, and he's got that dastardly, wicked smile. And here is actually around, this is what we call Franklin's the Catacombs, is where our hooded figure is spotted a lot. Now, the hooded figure absolutely plagues me, because I do not know what it is, if it's he, she, they, it, whatever it is, but it will just, it's silent and it will just follow. Just mainly the shadow figures that we see here. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the time, if you get a certain feeling about a member on an investigation, he stands in the middle spire in the courtyard, as we see, and he'll just point at someone. And I'll look up and kind of be like, what? And he'll just literally, sort of like Ghostface, will cock his head and just point. Nothing. Again, it's just black. Like, sort of like a hot fuzz, like with the hood, like that. And he just wanders about, especially since we opened the inner temple about 1.5 years ago.
Oh, maybe you unlock something.
Exactly. Well, actually, when this place opened to the public in the sort of 1950s, 1960s, they brought the priest down from St. Lawrence's Church. He came all the way down and he said, you should not open to this to the public. There is something evil in here. Do not let it out.
But they didn't listen.
They didn't listen and they've done it anyway. Here are our 2 children. This is George and Mary Dashwood. Right. He was the 5th baronet after Sir Francis was the 2nd, and this is Mary. These pictures are actually in the red drawing room on the estate. A lot bigger than you think. And Mary and George are often names that come from... Not Bat Baby?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right.
I don't like bats.
Oh, I love that.
That's all good. The best way that I advise...
I did just literally hide behind
You pay for this.
That's fine.
Yeah. The way I say for them, obviously bats work with echolocation, so if you start screaming, they're more likely to fly into you. So shut up and keep your head down is the best way that I can advise to deal with that. I just see Ray go, hoppa, just down.
Alison, just turn around. Turn around. Alison, turn around this way with your camera.
Hi. And I'm supposed to be looking after you.
That's my job. They just fly around.
To keep you...
Yeah, they do.
They
look like
you
a little,
feel it.
They look like a little nesting spot.
They're so cute. They're like, but you feel it go over your head. You feel the hoof, because they're only tiny little pipistrelle ones. Put your head, woman. It's like you got the little angel devil on your
I'm
shoulder.
fine with. Bats, on the other hand, it's hilarious, isn't it?
I'd like to remind you we're professionals in this place.
We're extremely professional.
We're in charge. Anyway, back to history. These 2 gentlemen in this alcove are 2 very important people to our story. The one at the front is John Wilkes, he was an MP, and the one at the back, it was John Montague, the Earl of Sandwich. And them 2 are actually the 2 gentlemen that pretty much was the catalyst for the end of the Hellfire Club. Why? Because of a baboon. A literal monkey is one of the things... I just seen your face, Alison, I know.
I've just come back.
You're like, sure. Now, you think most people in those days hadn't probably even seen like a pineapple or a banana, let alone a blimmin' monkey. So John Wilkes, he again was like Dashwood, he loved travelling, so he was said to go over to the continent of Africa and bring back a baboon, as you do. Now, he dressed this baboon in a little devil costume and put it unfortunately, this story didn't happen here. It happened at Medmeaden Abbey, as much as I'd love to say it did happen here. So he put his baboon in this box and sort of shoved it to the back of the room and had a little string that sort of opened it for him. And that evening, the Earl of Sandwich was said to have been summoning the devil. So, as you do, they're all sat around probably, Knights at the Round Table almost having this meeting. With the greater good going on and whatever. And John Wilkes starts his incantations. John Montague starts his incantations. Wilkes opens the box. It leaps onto the first person that it saw, obviously being John Montague. And he starts apparently flailing around and calling out for God to help him. Bit of an ironic one, as he's just summoning the devil and then calling out for God to help him. It's hilarious what people do in, states of need. And, eventually once he sort of throws it off him, the men around the table apparently bursted into fits of laughter and they were apparently almost falling off chairs and John Montague was fuming. And apparently he sort of, you know, stood up very promptly, very flushed, and said, I'm going to bring about the end to you. You're going to pay for this. Stormed out.
Ego burnt.
Exactly.
Narcissist in the making.
And as I said, to remember Thomas Potter, he was a poet. And he wrote a poem called An Essay on Women. Now, it is said to be, and I quote, the naughtiest poem known to man. And if you read it, you're like, okay, these people's opinion on women was that we were objects, we were there to be used, and we were only there for pleasure. It was said to take a copy of this poem into the House of Lords and read it for the entirety of Parliament. Then John Wilkes was exiled to France. Oh no, France. No.
Wouldn't mind being exiled to France.
Exactly. Well, you think of those times, we didn't have the best relationship, but anyway.
True, yes.
And Dashwood was said to be stripped of all his MP titles, and then the Hellfire Club became no more. So you think, just because of this baboon brought about the end of the club. There's a lot more to that, but that was one of the main stories that we tell. So.
It's a hooded figure.
That's what I was literally
this is the thumbnails.
I was thinking this is why there was a hooded
Really
figure. It's got nothing to do with religion or weird. It was just bats. Protect your head with the bats.
There we go. Welcome to the banqueting hall. As you can see, my voice gets a lot more echoey in here. And
Cool.
there you go.
How cool is this?
Yeah. So this is actually the largest man-dug chalk cabin in the world. Did you get dripped on? Oh, that's funny.
Wait till you hear what it might be.
You know, I mentioned we're just left of the mausoleum.
Yeah.
We're directly underneath the graveyard, so if you get dripped on, it's body juice. Amazing.
So there'd be curtains, wouldn't there?
So there used to be sort of almost curtain or fabric drawn across them and beds inside them. And they use these as almost sort of, you know, your little pleasure chambers almost. And you can see all these pick marks, and they're all on the walls in there, with said to be counting how many times that people had intercourse in these alcoves. Because this is where, this is the banqueting hall for a reason. This is where they had their big meals, their big parties.
Big dress up.
Big dress up, said to be sort of, you know, all their monks and nuns and everything, getting it on essentially. Said to have a massive table in the middle, claret was the drink of choice, there would be, you know, fruits and meats and wine and all this and that, and they were said to have a jolly good time. So this is where most of the quote-unquote magic would happen. But past this point, past the banqueting hall, as we can see, we'll go further down. There's sort of, you can see where the door hinges used to be, and past this point is where only the sort of 12 disciples, the 12 brothers as they called themselves, were allowed. So past here, it's sort of, we're not welcome essentially. If we're not members of the club, if we're not the higher ups, we're not welcome. And I will tell you, I'm so sad, I know this place off by heart, but the only place I do not like is between the bottom of the banqueting hall and the top of the triangle. That's the only corridor I absolutely despise. In here, I'll tell Suki's story, essentially. So she is our white lady. She is our most spotted spirit, essentially, that people do. They feel on investigations. If you hear any crying, whimpering, screaming, even as a young man, it was amazing when we had Jared here. I could feel it. She was literally almost staring daggers at him. It was horrible. And she doesn't like young men. That is because she was unfortunately killed by them. Now, her story was that she was a barmaid in the local old coach inn, which is now the George and Dragon, which we are
staying in tonight.
Yeah. A lot of people kept, as I said, it was mainly big trading, lots of people through and through and through. And it was said that she almost took quite a liking to one of these famous lords from London. No idea who he was, no record of it. She was said to get a letter underneath the door of her room that sort of read that this lord had taken a liking to her and wanted to run away with her, and said to meet at the caves. So apparently she donned a wedding dress and had a lantern and came all the way to the caves, all the way up the hills. Bloody long hill, I do to myself. You never get used to it. And she sort of heard this voice calling to her from within the cave, so she came down to the entry of the banqueting hall, where she didn't find this lord. She found 3 of the local village boys, and they were said again to burst into fits of laughter. So out of anger, she picked up some rocks, threw them at the boys, and they threw them back, and one hit her in the head. Now, again, as I said, there's many iterations of this story. Often some people believe that she died directly on the spot and the boys left her, or that they took her body back to the George and Dragon, or that she actually sort of just knocked her out, they ran away, and she managed to sort of get her way back up to the surface and died at the mouth of the caves. Again, there's so many iterations of the story that have been said over the years, we do not know. But she, especially, this again is another main place for activity. If I'm ever on investigation, I always like to stay in here. This is where the magic happens, essentially.
Right.
So, especially at that point. But again, another thing if we're talking about spirits we do have creepers in here. They're sort of almost four-legged creatures that will literally crawl up walls. We've had SLS literally pick up almost like spider-like creatures on the walls. And they are the things mainly that you will get a lot of negative activity from. I've come up with scratches all over me, I've had hair pulled, I've come up, rocks thrown at me, handprints all over my clothes, and it's like, no, thank you.
Those are symbols of Satan.
Exactly. And it's, again, we've had people, some people feel nothing. Again, I said ladies often feel a little tap on the bum, but you say you name it, and it's happened here over the years. But probably the worst I've seen is you get people, obviously we are underground, so it could be something to do with the airflow, but we've had people literally drop to the floor and you come down and they're not behind the eyes, they're murmuring. As soon as we get them back up to the surface, they're completely fine. And, you know, again, that could be something to do with airflow, could be something to do with the cold, but again, when you have them sort of murmuring, you know, almost what seems like incantations and stuff, it's like, no thank you. So, we're sort of just over halfway down at the triangle here. This point was said to represent the female anatomy and also called Judgment's Pass. Judgment, you know, again, you think we're underground, lovely. So it was often said that sinners went, I believe, if I get this correct, it was that saints would go this way and sinners go that way. And if you chose the wrong one, if you sort of lied and said you were a saint when you were not, then judgment would come to you. Not necessarily instantly, but eventually judgment will come. So ladies, are we saints or are we sinners?
Oh, let's go sinners.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Absolutely.
Sinners is this way.
This way.
Oh,
This way.
There must have been some hardcore doors on there.
And there is a little step down in here, so just be careful so you don't fall head over. But this, in the inner temple, is where they said they did all their apparent sacrifices and all their rituals as well. So welcome to hell, welcome to the inner temple. Now, this point, I used to say when we opened this for the public about a year and a half ago, my words were, it feels really tranquil in here. And now I absolutely hate it and I cannot stand to be in here. It was only a couple months ago I came first person down in the morning, literally unlocked the cave. I'm going to do a cave check, make sure there's no rubbish. I came down in here and this thing was, I'm not even joking you, swinging around the room. And I was like, no thank you. Again, we're 300 feet underground, there's no airflow, there's no wind. This thing was going for it. And I was like, but yeah, so directly 300 feet underneath the altar of the church.
And you say this is where they did their rituals, you think?
Yeah, this is where people believe they would sort of shut themselves in, they would put themselves, they're again not this table, we're going to be careful, don't leave on it, it's very unstable, but they would do their rituals, obviously.
Which would make sense if it was directly pointing to the church.
Again, it's mocking the church, because they're doing all their, you know, all their services
but directly underneath.
and underneath the, you know, doing unholy things. And again, one of the rumours is that a sacrifice did happen. We see a lot in sort of satanic or, you know, that kind of stuff. Animal sacrifice does happen. And again, you think goats, snakes are representations of the devil. Exactly.
Interesting.
There you go.
well, you can't because she's got the light on.
There we go. You've got that one from the sticks that doesn't want to shut off. So.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't like that.
I don't know why this
Imagine
one
trying to
from
find
the
your way out now.
In the dark.
literally. So obviously, I don't know why this one from the sticks won't turn. This might be one of our emergency lights, but literally, you cannot see, you know, your hand in front of your face.
Yeah.
You look up the tunnel.
And
you
we
literally-
still have lights here.
Yeah. This is before we stop as well. Definitely investigating here. 100%.
Have you been taking pictures?
No, because I couldn't, because I was holding that and I took a picture on the way back.
Okay. That's a bit slack, isn't it?
Should get a ring in here. I'll take my bets now. I'm going with. I don't know actually. She could be scrappy.
It's really scrappy, yeah.
I just silently, yeah.
Do you want to? Are you happy to come back now and take some footage and we can get you a hot drink, have a little break, and then go?
I can recharge this
Yeah.
one up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Do
we'll
you
do
mind
it.
carrying that back for me? That's fine, thank you. All right, guys. So Can we just?
I feel like I'm drinking and I haven't even drunk it.
All right. Can we just go over what's just happened?
Now, do you want the true story or do you want the fake story?
Well, let's do the fake story first.
The fake story is we felt something.
Yes.
Oh, I got pushed.
She got pushed
and
and
she fell.
Okay.
Quite dramatically.
Through the phone.
Do you want the real story?
Yeah.
She tripped over the bloody step.
Can I just say, how many steps are there in this location?
One, and it's not even that deep.
No. Have you need?
Right, first aid.
That's you being an apple happening like that.
Oh, bless you, babe. Right.
That's what it was. We were taking the Mickey out of the Emple people. And the next thing I knew, I was on my ass.
You weren't, you funny face.
And there's absolutely no alcohol
One
involved.
step! You had one step! That's all it was! One freaking step! Oh my god!
I'm so glad I'm not going to make
I wonder if the girls are looking at the footage. Right? Oh shit! The camera would have caught it! We got the best angle. I think you did that on purpose.
So, after taking a selfie where we took the Mickey out the Emple people because we missed the T off Temple, we turned to leave the cave.
Let me just. Oh.
Handprint, look.
There's a handprint.
Someone's been playing.
I told you.
You've never investigated until your arse is covered in bloody chalk. We investigate seriously, but we don't take. We like to have fun. Have we got another one of these? This one isn't working.
Oh. What was that?
What was that?
To me, that sounded like a giggle.
No, I heard a growl.
Oh, did you? Do you want to hold that? Let me hold it towards
Actually,
you.
guys, I didn't think I'd be bothered about the caves. You see,
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've got my torch in my pocket for when the light goes out.
All right, if there is anybody here, I'm sorry about what I was saying earlier. We were just having a little bit of fun. We didn't mean any. We were laughing more at us. I probably deserve to be pushed over that step. People, it was because we had the sign up and we accidentally cut off the T, so it's like an inner joke. Soon. There's another face over here. Soon? What's going to happen soon? Oh shit. I am way too far away.
You are too far away.
I'm standing, I've not moved. Here I am. I'm right where I was. What's going to happen soon? God, we're a long way down.
My light's flashing.
What do you mean your lights? What on earth is happening with it? What happened? What was that?
That was a noise.
That was over here.
My light's flashing.
Why is it flashing?
Don't know.
All right, we've not brought down any backup lights. If our torches go, if I, all right. Apart from the lights you see here. What was that?
That was a noise.
That was down the tunnel. Oh, I'm not liking this at all. That was down the tunnel.
Let me put some lights on so you can see.
No, I'm all right. No. All right, so if there is anybody here, hope you don't mind us being in your inner sanctum. I know women weren't supposed to be in here once upon a time. I know we were down here. Hopefully you found it funny when I fell over or was pushed. I still claim I was pushed. We've got all these lights. All you have to do is come close to them. You've seen that one working. And we'll hear you, see you. Nice down there. Nice down there.
That's not
Back,
me.
that's not you.
Let me just try that again. Oh.
I might go, give it a second. Let it settle. Take a couple of steps forward. That might be you. Yeah. Another bang down there. All right, we're going to do this little...
That was a big one.
That was a big bang. You've got to remember there is no wood down here, and that's a very wooden sound down there.
You will hear drops of water dripping.
The water, I know.
But it's little drops, it's not the big drops.
I'm going to put this little box on this table here, right there. I'm just wondering if you can put your voice on it. I haven't actually introduced, we haven't said who we are.
No, we haven't.
So my name's Alison.
My name is Cag.
And if there is any person in this cave at the moment with us, can you put your name? Only if you want to. On that box there. You probably don't want to. I don't think you lot wanted to know who you were. On that box there. You probably don't want to. I don't think you lot wanted to know who you were.
Did you see Alison fall earlier? Did it make you laugh as much as it did me? Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. Did you see Alison fall earlier? Did it make you laugh as much as it did me? Did you hear that?
I can't say it isn't dropping on something. To be rational.
Yeah.
That wasn't. That wasn't. That wasn't. How many of you?
What was that?
I said like get out. Sorry. There.
Do it again. That was right behind.
I know. That's a get out.
Oh, did you
That's
hear
a
that?
get out. How many of you would have been in here? Did you ever bring women into here? Did you ever bring women into here? What about Suki? Is Suki here? Suki, we're staying tonight where you used to live and work. What about Suki? Is Suki here? Suki, we're staying tonight where you used to live. It's like a background history, isn't it? Suki, we're staying. Suki, we're staying tonight where you used to live and work. Maybe you'll talk to us there. Maybe you'll talk to us there.
What was that?
What was talk to us there.
You know what reminded me, the last one, is when you do like an ultrasound. When you're pregnant, you get that woof, woof, woof. No? Okay.
Oh, like a heartbeat.
Yeah.
His heart is missing.
Oh, his heart's missing.
I'm tempted to do another EVP burst. So. All right, we thought we heard your voice on here. I'm not sure who it was. So I've put it back on again. Now I'm not sure that light's gone off.
Which one?
The infrared's just turned itself off.
Oh,
it's
it's
flashing.
back on again.
Is that a different infrared light to what you had?
Yeah. So it's just an, oh.
So what happens when all the lights go, okay?
That's when we wave at the
That's
camera.
when we wave desperately at whoever's watching the camera. So whoever is here used to do rituals. Did you bring something in that shouldn't be here? I guess the one question, because not many people know what happened, because you burnt all evidence of what used to go on in here. So all we can do is think maybe you were trying to hide something. That maybe bad things happened in here. A lot of knocks down there. But again, I can't say it's not water.
No, that's the problem, isn't it?
All right, we'll listen back. No. Me or you?
You can do it.
Thank you.
Step in the doorway.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. If there's anybody here, the lady that's standing in the doorway there with some funny things on her ears, her name is Alison. That's before, or were you pushed? Oh, ball.
I could see the flashing on the...
Alright.
I was wondering what the flashing was. I could see it flashing
That's
on the wall.
nice.
Handcuffs.
Well, we thought it might be the right place for handcuffs. We did have a chat about it. Did we put them out? We thought, you know what? If there's anywhere that needs handcuffs, it's this place here. Did you enjoy coming down into these tunnels? What was your favourite thing to do?
Absolutely nothing. Just nothing.
It's very quiet, isn't it now?
Suddenly, yeah. All right, well, we may move on. Do you remember how to get there?
Just keep going.
All right, if there is anybody in here tonight, got all this equipment out, maybe you can set it off. And let us know you're there, please. I'll do that. Hello. That's not us. We are way, way far away from
Too far away from
over
that.
there. Is that you setting that off? Thank you. Okay, so you're doing your hands now. Do your foot again.
Well, if I do that onto the camera.
But I think it's just randomly going off. I don't think it's
No.
your hand.
Right, don't move.
Not moving.
Right, I'm going to lift my foot up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I only just lifted it off the ground.
I think it's just cool.
It can't
I
be
don't
just-
think we're setting it off because I'm having to do that and it's not doing it. I think it's just going off and you're just happening to pick your leg up.
What, every single time?
Pick it up now, quick. That's weird.
I'm just saying.
Did you lift
Again,
it up
just
there?
lifted my leg up.
Okay. That did it before I put my foot up. There. Didn't do it the first time I did it. I think it's systematically going off. Now, fifth your foot.
Hey?
How can it get, but because it is doing it, mind you it's doing it then when we're not moving, because it's doing it on movement as well, I can't say it isn't, but it just seems weird. I'm going to reset it, guys, because again, in case it's glitching, I'm not stupid enough to go over there without a light on there. I'm also going to angle it differently. I'm going to move that out of the way as well. The only other thing I can think of, guys, again keeping it rational, is maybe the batteries are going low because a lot of equipment will start glitching when it's running out of battery power. So it could be.
So every time I lift my foot
Could have been
up,
coincidence that it was just
every
cycling.
single time.
Yeah, but it was cycling maybe.
Every single time.
Well, we're
I don't want to. I just think it's very weird. It was just. I'm not saying it's paranormal. I'm just saying I don't understand how every time I lifted my foot up, even when you were standing in front of me, that it went off. That was just
because
weird.
you know it can't take your foot down there from over there. But was that the one that was playing up? Oops. That's why we can't have nice things at Tick Cake. Oh, hello, EDI. Just went off.
Didn't catch it, so
There,
I can
air
see it
pressure.
now, yeah.
All right, is there anybody here? You might be able to talk to us on this. Can you do that for us?
How many ladies are in here? How many living ladies are in this area now?
Did you like ladies? I hear you had a bit of a dim view of women back then. I heard you really saw us more as a commodity. To be used at your pleasure.
Is that correct?
$100
100 million women? That's a big boast.
It is, isn't it?
Jewish.
I told you once, I told you 1,000 times, don't exaggerate.
They're only
Suki, are you here? People say you actually died in the cave, others say you died at the Georgian Dragon. Which was it? I think it's quiet.
I think that's very sad. We don't want to talk to us. It's very quiet, isn't it?
Yeah, 1:45, yeah. All right, and the stuff's getting wet and I'm getting very conscious of that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. What I found with this place, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, if you're at the back, it really feels as though there's somebody right behind you.
Okay.
And it's not just, I was thinking, is it my imagination? But that was even when the lights were on.
Yeah.
So it's not as though it's because it's dark. I had that earlier when we was doing the walkthrough.
Okay.
So really weird feelings that somebody is just there.
Watching you. In which case, I'll go ahead of you then, shall I? Okay, Peg.
Yes, that was.
Well, that was fun.
It was.
Well,
And then also
I think
wet.
a lot of fun was at my expense as well.
A lot of fun was at your expense.
Which
And
by now you would have seen because I would have included it in this episode. So, but
we tripped off.
we're getting dripped on. We're getting very, very wet. So it's the equipment. So we are going to pack up, move on. In fact, we are going to go back to our hotel room, the Georgian Dragon, which is where Suki, the lady we've talked about, lived and worked. And some say she died there, some say she died here, but we're going to see if she wants to talk to us over there.
Yeah.
It's a bit drier. So, in fact, I don't even know why I'm saying that, because if she does talk to us, you've already seen it.
That's true.
It's true. So we'll stop rabbiting on there,
Yeah.
and we'll catch you next time. We're going to go and get dried off. All right, catch you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.